Hi guys, I hope that you are doing really well. I hope you're doing incredible self-care. I hope that you're doing mindfulness, meditation, yoga, if that's available to you. I hope that you are getting exercise and surrounding yourself with awesome people. That is people that are kind, that have integrity, that are decent, not perfect, because none of us are perfect, but people that are genuine human beings, authentic, real people. In this video, what I'm going to talk about is some signs of psychological manipulation. This is, some signs that are used by narcissists, active addicts that are manipulative, sociopaths, psychopaths. These are just some signs that some of them can be rather subtle, but these are things to look for whether you're in a work relationship, a relationship with a friend, or a romantic relationship, because these are the people that you really want to avoid if you can. Obviously, if they're in the work context, you might have to interact with them, but in that case, hopefully you can do some gray rock method, which is sort of be very boring as a rock, and keep your answers very short and the facts only, ma'am or sir. So some signs, some people in this world, they are not the norm, but there are some people in this world that are master manipulators, and they use the tactics of manipulation to get what they want. They are masters of deception and duping others. And the reason why it's really hard for a lot of people to wrap their head around this is because if you're like a normal person, you are not trying to manipulate others in this fashion. It's probably outside of your frame of reference. I mean, nobody's perfect. We all tell white lies at times. We all make mistakes, but we're talking about somebody who is very deliberate in manipulating other people to get their needs met in a very deceptive fashion. These are people that are motivated by power. They want the upper hand in all relationships. They want the power. And a lot of times that power is in the form of emotional and psychological power over other people. So one way, one thing you might see them doing is in the beginning of the interaction, or if they're sort of like negotiating with you in some way, they may invite you to their space rather than either being on neutral ground or coming to you. This can give them the upper hand. They will often ask you a lot of questions to suss out your weaknesses. You might feel very flattered by this, but actually what they're doing is they're doing this so that they can later manipulate you or use your weaknesses to hurt you. They're trying to figure out what you're motivated by, who you are, so that they can get the upper hand and have power over you. These people tend to act superior. This can be very subtle if they're the vulnerable or the covert or sort of the shy narcissist. This superiority can be in the form of a very quiet, smug superiority, where you just kind of feel like they think they're better than you, but they don't come out and say that. These psychological manipulators will often twist your words or your meanings, where you feel like, well, wait a minute, that's not what I said. And normal people will question themselves and go, well, maybe that's what they understood, or that's not what I meant, but somehow they perceived it that way. So you'll notice with the communication with them that it's often, very confusing, and you walk away from the communication and you're like, what just happened there? It's very manipulative, confusing, and they can also engage in word salad communication, which is almost like nonsensical or obtuse responses to direct questions. Of course, they use stonewalling, silent treatment, passive-aggressive behaviors. These people will often play dumb, and they do this to avoid work, responsibilities, or accountability. They play dumb, or they act like they forgot. This is a very big tactic of psychological manipulators. They will often reinvent history and make themselves appear to be the victim. They will sabotage. It can be very underhanded. If they're in a partnership with somebody, like let's just say it's a romantic partnership, they will absolutely sabotage that person. They will sabotage their work. They will let that person dig themselves into a hole of financial debt if the narcissist or psychopath is able to manipulate that, and then they'll blame the victim for their mistakes or failings, right? So these are not partners. They're not going to support you and help you to do better. They're going to do underhanded sabotage. Like if you're in sales, like they'll, they won't refer people to you, or they'll do all these like underhanded things where it's not obvious what's happening, but they like to sabotage. They'll make it look like they're being supportive, and really underhandedly, they're cutting you down. They use a lot of plausible deniability. They often psychologically and emotionally abuse their victims through stonewalling, silent treatment, covert manipulation, gaslighting, underhanded, subtle insults to their character. They love to create reactions, and then they try to paint the victim as crazy or unhinged. And very sadly, they are often able to get away with this because their victims often are suffering from symptoms of complex PTSD or trauma, especially if they've been in a long-term relationship with one of these people. And so they do tend to have emotional reactions because they are normal and they have emotions. And the narcissist will use all of these tactics to get them to react, and then make the victim appear to be the one that's unhinged. And they do this in a very subtle way, especially the ones with higher intelligence, where they have a lot of plausible deniability and they don't look like the bad guy, right? These people tend to refuse to compromise. They're all about power and control, gaining the upper hand, and they will not compromise. They like to make people feel inferior, whether that be their partner or their colleagues or whatever. And it can be very subtle. This is not necessarily an overt thing that you're going to see. These people wear a mask, and they often, there will be a chameleon. They will change personalities depending upon whom they're with. Like if their mother comes to visit, they may change completely and act differently in front of that person. Or if they're with their colleagues, they may act differently. These people are chameleons. They wear a different mask depending upon who they're with. They also are very much about compartmentalization. They like to keep people separate. They like to keep their work colleagues separate from their home life, from their family. They keep their family separate from their spouse, so that the truth will not conflict with their smear campaign, their lies. And because they're wearing these 3 or 4 or 5, 6 different masks, it's very hard for them they can't maintain those if the people are all together, right? Because that would be very confusing to them. So they definitely like to keep people in little boxes. They're masters of a compartmentalization. Watch the Ted Bundy docuseries. He was a master of compartmentalization. The more sort of able that people are to compartmentalize, it can sometimes ranks them higher on the sociopathic scale. So these people often are using an underhanded smear campaign behind your back and being nice to your face. You may have no idea this is happening. This could have been happening for years and you literally had no idea. They tend to give you the cold shoulder. They will withhold communication, affection, compliments, money, sex. They're all about withholding. They use that, again, to maintain their power. These people project, they deflect, and they refuse to take any personal responsibility. They will not tell you what their feelings are. They will project bad things onto you. They will deflect normal questions. They are pathologically selfish. They are pathologically self-centered. They objectify and they use people. They objectify and use people for money, work, a mask of normalcy, to look like a normal family. They'll use them for all sorts of different things. They are users and abusers, but they operate in covert abuse. So they do this so that they can maintain plausible deniability to the outside world and still appear to be the nice guy or the nice girl or the innocent little victim, right? They use a lot of gaslighting, which is denying your perception of reality. That's not what happened. You're remembering things incorrectly. You didn't see what you saw. You didn't hear what you heard. That's not what I said. And this can be very confusing to the recipient. But yeah, they do a lot of gaslighting. For instance, if you're like, are you having an affair with this person at work? And the answer is, that's absurd. That's a real example for you guys. I like to throw those in there. These people, tend to be very cold-hearted. They're very callous. They're lacking in empathy. They're smug and superior. They will shut down conversations with people that they deem inferior. They can't be bothered to have conversations with the minions. They're very selective about who they have conversations with. Like, for instance, if it's an attractive woman and it's the narcissistic male, then yeah, he's probably going to put all sorts of attention into that, right? Especially if they can create triangulation and make their primary source of supply feel jealous and insecure. But then when it comes to like meeting friends that can't do anything for them, don't benefit them in some way, they can't use them in some way, then they may just, choose to not have conversations with those people. They're only going to have conversations with people where they can get something from the person. So everything for them is, what can you do for them? How can you benefit them? How can you make them look good? How can you give them supply? How can you, give them money or work or power or sex, whatever, anything you can give them. That's what they look at. They look at humans like humans are objects. They're to serve them. They try to control how others see them. They're very careful about maintaining this mask, and they're very concerned about what the world thinks of them, especially the covert narcissists. So they're addicted to supply, which is outside validation. The validation could be, oh, wow, this person is such a nice guy or such a nice girl. They love that. They're addicted to it. They cannot admit when they're wrong. They will not offer sincere apologies. Sometimes they'll say, like to the new source of supply, they'll say that, oh yeah, I apologize to my ex for cheating or whatever. But that is a lie. They do not apologize to the people that they hurt directly. Sometimes they'll be like, yeah, I did do some things wrong in the relationship, but they'll only do that with a new source of supply to make them look like they're a nice guy, or to their family to make them look like they're a nice guy or girl. But they'll never actually go and make a sincere amends and apology to the person that they actually harmed. They may lie about that, but they don't. They wear a mask of perfection. This is fake. It is a paper mache mask. It is not true. They are not who they pretend to be. The image that they are sending to relationships is not who these people are internally. They reject others' imperfections. Any sign of humanity from other people is repulsive to them, because it may force them to look at their own imperfections. So of course, remember, they have this three phases of the relationship: idealization, devaluation, and discard. And it could be that that's happening in the whole context and cycles and abuse cycles throughout the relationship, or it could be they have you on a pedestal and then there's a slow, long, subtle devaluation, and then eventually a discard that may happen out of the blue where you had no idea. They could literally be kissing you, making love to you one day and then break up with you the next day after 10, 15, 20-year relationship. Or they could go rock climbing with you one day and then the next day, they're done. It's just the weirdest thing. It's not normal. If you've ever had normal breakups, you know that this is not a normal breakup. They reject others' imperfections or any signs of humanity. These people show very little empathy. If they show any empathy, it's fake. They practiced it in the mirror. I'm not kidding you. And it may feel off compared to folks who have offered you genuine empathy. You may intuitively be like, there's something weird about this person's display of empathy. I mean, they are first-rate actors. They are Academy Award-winning actors, so they do practice at this sign, the showing of empathy, especially the covert narcissist, because they don't want anyone to know that they're devoid of conscience and that they don't have any remorse or empathy, because they know that if the world knew that, they would not get what they want and they would be, ostracized, right? So they're very careful about pretending to have empathy, but it is not real. And if you've been with one of these people, you know what I'm talking about, that it's faux empathy. In a way, it's almost like they're artificial intelligence. They're like AIs. They're like robots. They're pretty creepy if you really think about it. They're they're not quite human. And all their exes, either all their exes are just nice people and they're fine, everything was fine, or their exes are wingnuts and crazy. There's usually a dichotomy there. Some of them are friends with their exes. They try to do that if they can because they like to have people still on the hook. And they they always want to be able to go back in for more supply if possible. But a lot of times if the X's are wise onto them and have been abused by them, then they may go no contact. So it might be more difficult for narcissists. But these are just some signs of a psychological manipulator. And man, if you're seeing any of these signs in somebody that you've just met, or if you're feeling like there's some love bombing going on and there's overt flattery and it's too much, it's not in line with how much they know you. Like if they're flattering you a ton and they've only known you for 2 weeks and they don't really know you, then it doesn't make sense, right? Yes, people who've known you for a long time may think you're amazing, because you probably are, but the narcissist, if they're giving you all that overt love bombing and flattery in the beginning, that's a real red flag. Now I'm very aware of that. If somebody's giving me a lot of flattery, it's not, I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Or if somebody's rushing the relationship, rushing the sex, rushing, wants to spend every moment with you. There's almost like an obsessive compulsive element to it. If that is happening, then you might be dealing with a psychological manipulator that's trying to hook you, right? They're trying to get you emotionally and psychologically attached to them so that they can start secure you as supply and then go on with their dirty deeds. So I don't know if any of this is happening, if any of this sounds very familiar to you. I'm guessing if you're on this channel, it does. But so, really the best thing you can do if you're getting any of these signs then is to go no contact. No contact is the cure for these people. You cannot change them. You will never change them. Your love will not fix them. Yes, I get it. They are traumatized. They're the reason they are the way they are is because of their own trauma or emotional neglect, or their parents put them on a pedestal, turned them into things instead of people, made them think they had to be perfect in order to be loved. Whatever way they are created, I get it. It sucks, right? They probably had some bad things happen to them, but you cannot fix them. Happiness is an inside job. You can fix you, you can work on you, you can't fix other people. So next time, if you meet somebody like this, instead of thinking, oh, your love will save them, or, oh, this poor person, they've been so abused by other people or neglected, or, oh, their ex is so crazy, I'm going to fix it. My love is going to be the salve for them. It's going to make everything okay for this person, because a lot of times they will use the victim ploy, right? Like, oh, their ex was so crazy and didn't appreciate them and didn't love them the way they deserve to be loved, right? They may give you that story, but you are not going to be able to fix somebody. You just can't. I don't care how much effort, energy you put into it. Again, fixing is an inside job. Each person is responsible for figuring out how to emotionally regulate and how to foster and cultivate their own happiness internally, independent of other people. So this idea that you're going to fix a narcissist or a psychological manipulator, or your love's going to make it okay for them, or somehow someday they're going to change, or their heart's going to open up someday, this is just a lie that you're telling yourself. And I really suggest, if you're in that delusion, to get out of that delusion, get out of that denial, and do what you can to protect yourself, which really is all about no contact. That's the best thing you can do. If you can't go no contact, then gray rock, limited contact, very, very minimal contact, just the facts, be very boring to them. Because again, you got to remember that these psychological manipulators, they feed off your emotions, whether your emotions are negative or positive. Yes, they prefer positive. They want to be worshiped. They want people to worship them and think they're so amazing. But they will get a delicious snack from your negative emotions as well. It doesn't really matter. It's anything that makes them feel important, right? Anything that makes them not feel that empty, dead void inside that they feel when they're left with just themselves. So they need that external validation to make them feel like they exist. So negative, positive, it doesn't really matter. They're going to eat those delicious snacks. So don't give them any. Don't give them any. And that's part of gray rock, is just being able to be like, no, I'm not food. I'm not giving you a snack. I'm not your burger today. So go away. Sorry. So I hope you guys are thriving. I hope that these videos are helpful for you. If there's any videos you want me to make specifically, let me know. I'm trying to be more aware of that and making videos that people request. And I hope you're doing well and have a great day. Bye.